Powerful Nerdcast assembled! Stay dandy, baby.
Happy holidays, happy new year. Guys, I'm Corey. This is Christian. This is Ace Guru.
I think one of the things that Corey and I love to do is just sit down and have a conversation, record it, and put it on the internet, because that's kind of where we all started on the internet and with YouTube.
2023 has been a good year. It's been a bad year. There have been some successes. There have been failures. There have been things that we've enjoyed. There's things that have pissed us off, and we're going to talk about a lot of them. Now, our channel's always been based around anime and manga initially, and I think that's definitely the direction I want to start in, because the last couple of years for me as like an anime fan have been kind of transformative, because I lived and breathed Japanese cartoons for like over a decade. I possibly blew like a fuse, because I was just looking at so many different shows,
just all the time,
genres,
yeah.
And I couldn't keep up with stuff. Not to mention between, just life, other movies, other forms of entertainment. Like I simply can't keep up with everything anymore. And I think like the only show that I reviewed this entire year was Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, and that's because I'm a hardcore Gundam.
Yeah, you love Gundam. I mean, even if you go back and watch like our anime collection, I wouldn't call it a review, but like we looked at your anime collection, 1/3 of it was Gundam. So Corey's a big fan of that stuff. And I think they also do really well. That's the one thing. Every time we review like a main series, there's, I don't want to say competition, but there's so many other voices that are doing One Piece, and your Naruto's and your Boruto's and your Kaizens and your whatever they are, like all this stuff. It's hard to get a lot of views on those. But I mean, with Gundam, we put one review up and we get like 3,000 views, no problem. And some people might consider that a failure, but for us, getting over 1,000 all the time is pretty good, you know?
And if anything, it's just fun to interact with you guys, because again, Gundam is one of like those few last bastions of anime that I'm like, I actually give a shit about. Like,
yes.
I care about it.
Yes.
Like, I get excited to watch it like every single week. Like, there's a lot of other series that I've just, completely fallen off on, like, Boruto, for example, the anime, the manga, like everything. I'm just not into it as much as I used to be. And this year has also been really big for like One Piece. That's like maybe the only other franchise I think that we've really kind of like paid attention to or like tried to nurture.
Yeah, I would say that One Piece is my favorite series for the longest amount of time. Like, it probably used to be Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z kind of comes out sporadically. But since One Piece is just this constant drip, once you get into it and you kind of get the rhythm of like the weekly chapters and stuff, it's just fun to be a part of it.
And Toei Animation and Oda are going to get their nut this year. Like, they're trying to like hit every single angle. Like, of course the manga is ongoing and it's getting ready to wrap up another major arc before we move into what is potentially the final saga of the series,
Or one of the final, for sure. One of the final.
They were also bold enough to do the live-action One Piece series this year, which, again, I've already given my thoughts on that, and they haven't really changed. It might not be fair. I didn't watch any more of it, although I did hang out with Christian, like, a couple weeks after it finished, and he's like, hey, we're just going to watch, like, the last 2 episodes.
I liked it more than Corey did, because I thought it captured spirit, but I understand it does kind of feel, I think one of your criticism was it feels like people cosplaying.
Yeah.
And I get that, but at the same time, I'm like, anything that gets more people into One Piece and that gets them up to speed faster. And then they even announced that they're going to redraw the first few arcs or something like that.
Wit Studio announced that they're partnering up with Netflix and they're doing the One Piece. It's going to be basically a brand new adaptation of the series, starting over from the very beginning in the East Blue Saga. And it's all speculative at this point. Like, nobody really knows what this is going to be outside of, this is a brand new One Piece anime. They're going to start from the beginning. And I'm still mixed on this. I'm excited because, of course, I want to see a franchise that I love be given some TLC, good production value, good pacing, no filler, and I'm kind of hoping that's what they're actually going to do with this one. But I don't know. I feel like they're kind of just, they're bending over the old anime series and kind of, like flicking it in the balls. Like, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Well, there've been many. You got to think, as the series gets older and older, they kind of already, when they show flashbacks, they're kind of reanimating the flashbacks, because those are not like always the original art style. They're kind of going back and using the new art style. So if they just kind of go back and redo the beginning with the newer art style in completion and not just in flashbacks, I'm not that bothered by that. Yeah. And also, it doesn't stop. They're not like they're saying they're going to stop drawing the series the way it is and change everything. They're just trying to make, hey, here's the original version, here's the Kai version, And so I know Kai is actually a recolor. It's a little different. But if they could like condense One Piece down tighter, so it's not like 3 months of watching to get caught up, I think that's a good thing for the fans, you know, or potential new fans. Because, man, when you got to watch 5 arcs just to get to when they get hockey, like, that's a lot. That's a lot to watch.
The problem is, though, like, even with the new series, even if they do manage to cut out, like, a lot of the filler content and everything, this is still a manga series which has 1,000+ chapters. There's no way that the One Piece is going to wrap up in, like, 300, 500 episodes. It's still going to end up being, like, a tremendously long
They can cut the guy in the box that they meet. They can cut some stuff.
You can't cut out the Bushman.
The Bushman, we could cut out the Bushman. Maybe the Long Island where everything's long. You know, like,
That's the thing, though. Like,
little things in there.
And that's the problem with the series. Like, no one's going to win.
No.
You know, the hardcore fans, they're going to want everything to be done in this adaptation. And then there's going to be the other people who are like, look, I've been watching this series for 25 years. Just show me the good stuff. So there's going to be a lot of disagreements about how they're actually going to handle this. And until I see a single frame of animation, I'm going to hold my tongue on it.
Look, if you were to say, hey, I'm not excited about the new Broly movie because it's 3D, you know, like, remember when they released that? It actually turned out pretty good because it doesn't feel that different. They're like, it has to honor, like, when you look at that Dragon Ball Z game that came out a few years ago, everyone's like, oh, these are 3D models. I'm not really feeling that. But what the creators did is they said, what makes this a good art style that people feel are familiar? Like, what are familiar elements? Let's make sure we use those. And as long as they're kind of capturing the sound effects and the vibe and the music, it'll probably feel like One Piece, but more updated. I doubt they're going to go crazy with it and make something like hyper stylized. It just doesn't seem like it. One Piece is cartoony. There's serious adult things, but it's a very cartoony show.
Yeah, as long as they lean into that, I'm kind of okay with it. And, you know, the studio that's working behind it, you know, they have quite the pedigree. They worked on a lot of really good shit.
I don't know. What have they worked on?
From what I know, the most popular show they're working on right now, and this is another one that I've sat on for like the last, I think, 2 years. It's really popular. It's called Spy Fam.
Okay, I haven't seen that at all.
Okay,
I don't even know that exists.
It's a popular thing. It's based on a manga series. It's got a couple of seasons of anime at this point, and it is very popular with the hardcore group. And, you know, their animation style and everything is really good. And I can't wait to see how that's going to apply to One Piece. But I just don't know if I needed another piece of One Piece content before we even get to the conclusion of the series. Because, like, that's like the one thing I only, like, fully care about now with One Piece is getting to its conclusion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the characters. I love the world. I love to see where it's going. But I want to see that damn treasure. Like, that's it. That's the end goal. And I feel like I've been invested for so long. And
I think you're missing the point of One Piece because it's not really the treasure. It is the journey.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of is. Like, you're going to get there no matter what that shiny object is or potion or
hat
or
ideology.
it is. It's going to be about the arcs. It's going to be about the crew members and the overcoming Kaido and overcoming Doflamingo, overcoming Arlong. Like, all these are the real thing that is One Piece. And focusing on the end, I feel like is, and this is a guy that likes to jump to the ends of things. Like, you're missing the point of One Piece in some point. Not necessarily to argue with you, but just say, like, One Piece is really, I'll be sad when we see the One Piece because then there'll be nothing left to do. Like, that's kind of why Gold D. Rogers felt like he could die because he went there, he did it, you know, and he's like, now I can go, you know? And I feel like the same thing will happen to Luffy in some sort of different way. He'll have an existential crisis of no purpose.
Yeah. I mean, this is at least until One Piece Z or One Piece Shippuden comes out and we decide to follow the story about their kids.
Their kids go on the ocean, yeah.
And I pray that never happens.
I want a female Zoro child.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
No, I'm kidding. I don't.
I don't want any of that crap. that you know, that goes back to like the whole Boruto thing. Like,
yeah,
you know, I've been reading it and I'm very aware of everything that's going on. But like, it's never going to capture the height or the magic of that original series.
I also want to talk about where we are in the manga and the anime right now. In the anime, we're about to start the Egghead Island arc, and I feel like in the manga, we just had a certain person's parent show up on Egghead Island to help their child. And if you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to not be spoilery because you may not have read it because the chapter just came out. But the whole point is that I feel like we're at the end and the beginning of that arc right now on both, and I've never felt like they've been that close to each other, like the anime and the manga.
Yeah.
They've always felt like an arc or two apart, and now they don't anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes, and I've just been enjoying the absolute heck out of One Piece this year.
Did you see the new art style for the new Egghead arc?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the preview, trailer thing. I'm excited about their new outfits. I'm excited about the new characters. There is a mountain of flashbacks in this arc, though. I feel like this arc is 50% flashback.
Every arc of One Piece has like a mini arc inside of it, which is all
like,
about the flashback.
Like the Odin arc inside the Kaido arc.
When we reach time skip, that's when these flashbacks got like really out of hand. I think especially in like Dressrosa.
Yes.
That's when we finally, not only Law, Doflamingo,
The little people.
the Tontata tribe, like all that stuff.
Oh, the gladiator arc within the arc, because that's kind of part of the arc, but it's also like just Luffy's journey.
The fact of the matter is this is a series that is very deep, and they really want you to learn the history of it, and it's all ultimately going to tie together. And look, I'm not saying that I hate the journey of One Piece. I am actually enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, it ties back to what I was saying earlier about, like, there's just so many other things to view and watch and consume that I'm like, man, it is hard to stay fully invested in this with all these other things.
I get it. I just think it's like, I'm trying to come up with a good analogy. It's like if all you're worried about is saving for retirement and having enough money when you're old,
You're never gonna live.
You're not worried. You're not enjoying the life you have now.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like you got to pay attention to what's going on now. And also, if you look at the timeline of One Piece, like Luffy's achieved all this in like 4 or 5 years.
Pretty
It's
much.
insane. Like how
Short amount of time, but
Yeah.
we've literally been watching it for about a quarter of a century.
Woo!
Like that's the whole deal with that. So
One Piece is great right now.
I mean,
I'm
it's
enjoying it.
definitely at its height, and it's obvious that that they're doing this because they are building up to the finale. I think that's why there's so much synergy between all of these different projects.
Oh, the marketing team or the synergy between the show, the movies, the manga is all like so tight right now. I've never seen someone walk up to the ending of their series so well. Like Naruto just dropped the ball so hard for me with what was her name? That character that got introduced.
In Naruto?
Yeah, remember the ending of Naruto? They brought the chick that was above.
Oh, Kaguya.
When Kaguya came
Surprise
in,
villain decided to pop up at the
yeah, they just messed up and they dismounted the ending so bad.
You blew it!
And then they tried to make it better by making Naruto and Sasuke fight, but I didn't care as much by then because I was like, why did I just have this villain? It should have been Madara that they...
Yeah.
Anyway.
And ultimately the thing you hated has kind of become like the main story of Boruto.
Oh, and that series is doing great now because of that.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. It's not
I mean,
good.
it still has a fan base. Look, there are people.
Yeah,
who read
there's
it
people
and
that follow shit because they grew up with it and they're nostalgic. Doesn't mean it's a good show.
I'm gonna be honest. That's like the reason that I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not
need
good.
to stay in the loop of what the hell is actually going on in this series, which was originally so simple, just about ninja kids fighting.
Yeah.
And now we got extra dimensional aliens and all types of really weird shit.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It is just ridiculous.
My theory on that, and I think I've shared it, is that the author went off to make a sci-fi series in space with like samurais, and it failed.
Oh, it
so,
failed hard.
so he dumped all those ideas into Boruto because there's so many. You should look at the first like 5 chapters of that series, and then what's going on with Boruto. It looks like the exact same shit.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like,
Have you like read any of it, or are you just like completely? You're just done.
no, I watch clips. I watch the fights on YouTube and stuff. I'm interested.
Well, I'm talking about the manga in general.
No, I'm not current at all.
Did you know that there's actually a time skip Boruto manga that has like a completely new title?
Yeah, I remember you telling me in Boruto's Outcast because someone did a genjutsu.
They did like a Freaky Friday,
Yeah,
but like it messed with everybody's mind, and now they all think like he's the bad guy and everything.
yeah. It's dumb.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's not getting me super excited. Again, like I said, after
It's like they set up Boruto not to have Naruto's story where he's an outcast, and then they just said, nah, never mind, let's make him Naruto.
I love my best friend!
It's so dumb, dude. Like,
I will say this, and a lot of people have been praising this. At least the character of Boruto is legitimately kind of interesting with what he's doing currently in the story. But he's the only thing that's actually got me interested. Like, the villains are just not doing it for me. I think after the Akatsuki too, like that was the toughest act of all. As far
yeah,
as,
because they nailed it.
Yeah.
They nailed it. It's
I mean,
just
they,
like,
they really stuck the landing on those villains, and they've never been able to top them yet, in my opinion.
so what else have you been watching this year? You been watching Jujutsu Kaisen or?
So that's the other thing. Like when I say like I've fallen off the anime tree, there are a few that I've been very aware of, and some that I have watched. There have been a lot of like really big hits over the last year of shows that typically were mostly relegated to like the hardcore crowd. But a lot of those like really niche anime have like really reached into the mainstream right now. Like one of the most popular anime this year, and I don't think you've heard of it. It's called Oshinoko.
What's it about?
So
Describe the people.
describing this is impossible. It's ridiculous in a short amount of time. The reason that this show is so popular is because it is from the creator of another popular series, which is called Kaguya-sama. And the other reason that the show is so damn popular is because it had the greatest anime intro of the year. Like, it literally blew up. It went crazy. It's one of the most downloaded anime songs of all time. And that show just blew the hell up. But it was just one example of a show that's just been exploding with popularity. I like how you always mention Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I know Kaisen and some words.
So Jujutsu Kaisen is also like a huge show that it's blown up over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because of how well done it is and because of some of the controversy behind the studio that just decided, you know what? We're just going to stop animating it because work conditions suck and this shit is just way too expensive. But that show is...
Well, look, if you become an animator or become a special effects artist, you're going into a shitty industry. I don't know how many times we've seen that happen, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it, and I'm definitely not trying to shut on anyone's choices, but it seems like a very, unless you own the studio, a bad lifestyle move.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I mean, you know, we could talk for hours about the conditions of animators in Japan, but, you know, that show has still been immensely popular with people. Of course, Demon Slayer is still around.
Yep.
I don't think it's as big as it was when it made its first splash, but the seasons keep coming out. People are still really enjoying that. Other popular shows like My Hero Academia are still doing pretty good. Again, maybe not as big as they originally were, but again, it goes back to those niche shows which have been really popular this year. Another one which has aired in the last couple of months, which everybody is they're riding this anime dick like you wouldn't believe. It's called Frieren Journey's End, and it's basically a fantasy series, which is like everything that Amazon did with their Rings of Power show.
Shit used to be called Bleach. Now it's got 2 damn sentences as a title.
And that's an easy one.
I know.
There are way crazier ones, man. But like basically this show blew up because it's everything that the Rings of Power should have been. It's basically, they're not the same exact story. It's a fantasy story basically about this super powerful, awesome, epic elf chick.
Okay.
Who helped her party destroy this like ancient demon and everything, but the whole story hinges on the fact that she's an elf and she ages differently than other humans. So she goes on this huge journey with all of her companions. They end up growing old and dying, and she's still alive. And the rest of the series is her sort of reconciling with the fact that she's this cold, heartless person who views the world in a completely different way.
But she's cold and heartless because she's seen so much death and stuff.
But she doesn't want to be like that. She wants to sort of reclaim, you know, her love of life and appreciation for people because they're not always going to be there. And like I said, her journey and everything is very similar to what they did with Galadriel and the Rings of Power, except that they actually did it good.
Man.
People love this show. It's based on another manga series. It's been incredibly popular. I have dipped my toe into it, and by dip my toe, I mean I've watched the first episode, and that's about it. And I will say, as far as first episodes go, I was like, all right, this is pretty good.
I will say, look, if you wanted to talk to me about my current anime consumption and manga, I consider all of it anime. I know some's animation and some's manga, but is the One Punch Man manga. I watch religiously when it comes out. I'm on the Reddit, and whenever time the chapters come out, I'm on it. And then also One Piece. And then, of course, I want to consume Dragon Ball Super, but I just don't care about these, like, spin-off arcs they're doing to like tie in the movies.
Yeah.
I'm not into that. I'll just go back and watch the fights on YouTube. And then there's the chibi version coming out, you know. I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about that?
I mean, I'm not happy.
Dragon Ball Daima?
Well, I just want it to be serious because to me, at some point, Dragon Ball Z has to get Dragon Ball Super, whatever you want to call it. That series needs to get serious at some point in the fights. But when you make them kids, you're sort of saying like, this will never pass a 7 on serious. But like when you had Goku versus Jiren and he's going Ultra Instinct, that was a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 in the seriousness of the moment. Or Goku and Frieza versus Jiren. Like those moments had weight to them. Mm-hmm. You know, still a fun show. You know, you still got goofy stuff happening, but at the same time, I don't know if those serious moments will ever bleed through on this kid version of the show. So I'm not sure if I will.
I think there's a cultural angle to look at this on because the announcement of Dragon Ball Daima, not to mention just the release of Dragon Ball Superhero, has sparked like a new conversation all about Dragon Ball in general. And I think a lot of it is Dragon Ball an action show? Is it a comedy? Is it a slice of life?
Can it be all of that?
And that's the thing. I think it is all of those things. And, you know, a lot of people have been bringing up this conversation like, oh, if you're upset about Dragon Ball Daima, you're not really a Dragon Ball fan. And one, I don't like that because one, that's gatekeeping. People can like things for completely different reasons.
I like Dragon Ball for the fight scenes.
It's as simple as that.
And it's maybe training arcs and fight scenes and tournament arcs. That's why I like it.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But when you take me on the Bulma adventures and when you take me on the kids going through high school, I'm like, this is cool, but it better be like split with another arc of some serious stuff, like cutting back and forth, like an A and B story.
Yeah, like you can do your slice of life stupid story about Trunks being in love with Mai, but somebody better get like their head blasted off.
All right, better
like within 5 chapters.
Yeah, like it better go back to something serious. Because if you're making an arc about that, that's fine, but I'm checking out till we get back to the stuff I like. And I'm not a bad fan for saying I don't like the orange part, but I still like the blue and the green parts. Yeah. You know, it is what it is.
It's very true. And like I said, it goes back to that conversation. Are you really a real Dragon Ball fan if you don't like this? And I don't like that. I think it's really disingenuous to people who like things for the reason that they like them. And I like Dragon Ball for a number of reasons. I, of course, grew up in America, so I love it for the action because that's the way it was sold to me as this big, awesome action show. But then I started consuming the Japanese version, and I got to see that, oh, this is actually this fun, wacky, ridiculous-ass adventure. And it also just happens to have really cool fight scenes, and it's also a combination of sci-fi and fantasy and magic and all this other crazy shit. So I am excited for Dragon Ball Daima, maybe more than the average American fan is, but that's because I really like those aspects of it. But, you know, you can take it or leave it. That's just the way that it actually is. Now, of course, do I want Dragon Ball Super to just come back in anime form? Give me Moro Arc, give me Granola, give me Black fucking Frieza? Yes! I want that so bad. I want Black Frieza so bad.
Because you know why? Black Frieza's a badass character. He's the new big bad guy. I want that. I want us to maybe defeat him, or he grows. I don't really want Frieza to become a good guy, but he can kind of become an anti-hero if he needs to. And then they do another Tournament of Power arc, and we get to see Jiren again. And all the other universes take it super seriously. And the universes that didn't join. You know, like, I want that. And I don't care if they just throw in 3 arcs and then recycle another Tournament of Power over and over again. But that's what I want.
And ultimately, we are at the mercy of the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama himself. He's even gone on record over the last couple of months doing interviews saying that I want to bring Dragon Ball back to the fun, lighthearted story that I created.
Then fire him and get someone else in. Fire him.
Just fuck that shit. Just give us all the action. No.
Yeah. Make both at the same time.
They could.
Look at One Piece. It's doing everything at the same time. You know, like, just do that.
It's appeasing all the fans, but again, like, another common criticism of Dragon Ball, and this is, I'd say most hardcore anime fans judge Dragon Ball on this. They're like, it's just a dumb, meat-headed show with a really stupid story, and the characters don't get a lot of development. Akira Toriyama has the internet. He looks on his computer, on his phone. He knows what people are saying, and he's gone on record to say that, look, I want to bring things back to the characters. I want to have them have proper development and not just Goku and Vegeta. I want them to go on really fun adventures and not just be about the martial arts action, because he kind of felt that Dragon Ball Super, especially at the very end of it when they got to the Tournament of Power, kind of got away from what he felt Dragon Ball truly was. And I'm not going to hold that against the creator for wanting to do that. But it's totally okay if you're not really into that sort of thing, because, again, you can take it or leave it.
Hey guys, if you're getting any value or enjoyment out of this podcast, please make sure and like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Back to the episode.
I think the best thing to do, like you said, is to give them both. Give them something they can both chew on. It's kind of like right now, I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit.
Of course.
We're living in what I think is the golden age of Godzilla.
Oh.
Godzilla is one of those franchises that I think is actually doing better than it ever has, and that's saying a lot because it's a legacy franchise, and there's a lot of legacy franchises right now that are really struggling because they're always trying to appeal to a very set, specific demographic, a very small percentage of people. But right now, we're living in this time where Godzilla is going through a renaissance because one of the most successful movies right now, and one that we had the amazing pleasure of seeing,
that's right,
was Godzilla -1 in Japanese theaters. And
Absolutely.
It was awesome. It's everything that you could want from like a classic Godzilla film. It's super dark, it's brooding, it's destructive. Godzilla's a bad guy.
Oh! Total dick move by Godzilla!
And then on the opposite spectrum, you have America who's coming in, who's embracing that 1970s version of Godzilla, where they're giving us something a little more over the top and goofy and crazy. They're taking the two most polar opposite aspects of these characters and still giving both versions of those to the audience, which I think is really freaking clever. I wish they could do that with Dragon Ball, and I still feel that they're going to do that. We're gonna get goofy moments in Dragon Ball forever. I mean, the entire series is predicated initially on a single joke that a transforming pig literally wishes for panties from a giant fucking dragon.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Weird things are gonna happen in Dragon Ball. That's just a part of its DNA.
Yeah, and I feel like the Godzilla thing is a great point. They're giving us both. The American studios are doing their version, which is just a giant action movie, and it does not feel like a dude in a suit. It feels like Transformers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I get when I see the vibe of
I still
this.
laugh every time I see Godzilla is hauling ass, though. Like,
Yeah, it's just weird. And then you get the Japanese, which is very much the lumbering giant lizard, kind of movie, and very much focused on the people and the metaphor of Godzilla being the atomic bomb and the emotional damage it does to people by destroying and disrupting their lives. It's a very different, we're talking about a people-focused movie over here, and over here we're talking about how do we get another explosion in every 5 minutes. It's different, like both of them, and I'm glad they make them both at the same time. And on top of that, there's the the Apple Plus show they're doing, which I forget the name of, but it's like the Monster Universe.
Monarch Legacy something.
Because the Monarch is the name of the
Monster Hunters.
The Monster Hunters in the not Dragon Ball, the Godzilla Kong universe. What do you call that? What universe is that?
The Monsterverse?
Monsterverse, whatever we call it.
Pretty sure that's what it's called.
The Monsterverse. So yeah, they're doing both at the same time, and I'm kind of happy with that. And I don't feel overwhelmed.
No,
Like not like MCU where they're just like dumping so much content on you all the time.
I will say the only thing that makes me feel slightly overwhelmed with the Godzilla stuff is the show, and that's something that a lot of these big studios and companies are doing now.
Oh, simultaneous
releases of all things that are connected, and you have to watch every show, you have to watch every movie. That's the reason why I've basically just said fuck the Marvel Universe at this point, because there's too many TV shows, there's a lot of bad movies which I have not watched.
And a lot of bad shows.
Yes.
Let's just say that. And that they're connected. You got to watch it all to know it all.
Exactly. There's a reason why, Disney's struggling right now because of the Marvels, because this is a movie that hinges on the fact that you, the viewer, should have watched 2 separate TV shows and a movie just to be able to understand who these characters are. And that's, what that is? That's fucking homework.
Yeah.
And I don't want homework when I'm going to enjoy something and view it. I just want to be able to walk in, sit down, and enjoy it. It should have been a good movie first, and it wasn't. They were trying to bring this weird, again, going back to the word synergy amongst all of these different various projects, and it ended up sucking major ass and being the lowest grossing movie in MCU history. Lower than fucking Thor Love and Thunder.
Which is not a good movie either. They just leaned too much into the jokes and kind of ruined it.
You had Ant-Man, which came before that. That was a major success, too.
Well, I think Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, has said something along this. I'm not directly quoting him, but he's like, we overwhelmed the audience with too many choices, and they were all interconnected, and that was they should have taken their time. Remember when, they put out 1 or 2 Avengers movie a year?
Yeah.
And it was still a lot. But they were sequels to each other. Or it was like Iron Man, then Iron Man 2, and then Thor, and it was just one at a time.
Yeah.
But now it's like all at once, or like, oh, I hope you're ready for that Star Wars show because here comes another one right away. And I'm like, dude, I can't. I know Andor's good, but I can't watch all this. I just got done watching season 2 of
Haven't
Mandalorian.
watched Andor, haven't watched Ahsoka.
Yeah, and I don't even want to get too hard into the woke stuff, but I feel like they know that they're really messing up with these Mary Sue characters that are just badasses out of nowhere that have no character development and that just dominate every dude they run into. And I get that that's hot right now, but that's a major mistake, and I know they're feeling it. You cannot just say, look at this badass woman show, and it's like, yeah, it's like Miss Marvel's, that TV show that came out. That was like a young adult show. But they were trying to push it on male guys that want to watch Spider-Man. I'm like, this is not the same thing, and you're going into the wrong audience here. And I guarantee you, guy fans were not up to speed on the Marvels. And the thing that upsets me is that, what was the Vision show? The Scarlet Witch Vision show?
WandaVision?
WandaVision was one of the last really well-written shows.
I'd go as far as to say of the Marvel TV shows, only.
Well, maybe Endor, because we haven't watched it, and everyone says the writing's badass.
Well, that's Star Wars.
Okay, I know, but it's all owned by Disney.
Yeah.
And produced by a lot of the same people.
Yeah, everybody loved Andor, apparently, and
Yeah.
Ahsoka just sort of came and went.
Because no one cared, because it's all just Mary Sue's, dude. I don't know why I have to get so angry about that or disappointed that they only want to make badass chick shows. And I'm like, I get it. But at the same time, Luke Skywalker is a good character because he went through some shit and failed, there's a lot of characters that they just will not let them fail. They have to instantly win. And I feel like they're really making a mistake here, and they need to get back to just focusing on making really good stuff and a lot less of it.
I mean, like, the only message I would say to these people...
Go woke, go broke!
It's going to fall on deaf ears. Don't make a strong male character. Don't make a strong female character. Make a good character.
Yes.
That's what matters. Give me something that I can actually legitimately care about, and not just give me someone who's going to win and be awesome at instantly everything. And that goes for every single medium. There are instances where that works because it's a part of the story. One Punch Man, you love it. The whole joke is that the guy is incredibly powerful, but that's the whole point of that show.
And also, one of the characters in One Punch Man is the chick, the Cypher. What do they call the psycho people? The people with the...
Was it...
Esper?
Esper?
They call them Espers.
Yeah.
People that are like...
Wasn't that the tornado chick?
Yeah,
Her name?
I forget her name. We're so bad at this. This is why we don't review it anymore. But the point is, she's a very powerful female character and very egotistical. But they also is this amazing backstory to her where she was like a lab kid, you know, and they had to bust her out. She has to deal with that trauma, and she's a flawed character that gets very upset if anyone questions her. Like, she's not just perfect and a badass, like, Xena warrior that instantly can do no wrong and doesn't need no man. She's actually traumatized, you know, like, there's just depth to that character. And she's extremely powerful. Probably one of the top 3 in that series, you know? So, I just think that better writing and make people vulnerable. Like, what's wrong with that in storytelling now? And don't make it stereotypical. My God. I just watched that Rebel Moon show, and every trope is in there. They got an Asian chick to be the sword master. They got a random guy to be the gladiator guy, and they saved him from the slaves. And then they got this Tarzan dude that his name is Rock or Turok. Like, they kind of made him like Turok, like the dinosaur hunter, but his name is a little different, but he still like rides dinosaur type creatures. Yeah. Anyway, the point is they just like... The gang's getting back together. You know, what was that Rick and Morty episode? Like, getting
son of a bitch.
I'm in.
Rick Sanchez, you son of a bitch!
Like, that's what happens. They just do the gang stuff, like getting the gang back together, and none of it felt like all that original. It was very beautiful. I liked watching Rebel Moon. I kind of wish that this is a Netflix show, by the way.
Well made, but you could see
they were checking boxes.
Yeah, you could see the paperwork while you were watching the movie, which is never...
Man, exposition, explaining things, and they're like they all sit, like the chick takes the farmer guy with her, and he's kind of like your version of the your eyes into the world because he doesn't know anything. He's never left the world, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're experiencing it through him, which, you know, already kind of weird tropes. The guy's scared, but the girl's the badass. And I'm not against that, but it's got to be done right. But then they just sit down at a campfire, and she's like, I'm sure you're wondering where all this came from. Cut the flashbacks of her being trained as a warrior. You know, we were taught to feel nothing, you know, like... And I'm just like, damn, I've heard this story 1,000 times.
Brings the power Galadriel again.
I mean, it's essentially, what was that movie that, wow, I am so blanking. It's the guy, I'm going to have to look it up, but there's like the standard, a warrior that learned how to love and was dropped off or stranded at a village, a small farming village, and then learned how to become human again, you know, after being a war-torn warrior that has seen all these you know, and then eventually his past catches up with him, and his badass former soldier guys show up and destroy the village. Like, that is a story that's been told 1,000 times.
Oh yeah, easily.
But you know, you drop a woman in it, and now it's modern. I'm not trying to get too angry about the woman thing, but what I'm saying is they just aren't developing very good characters.
No, and that's the reason why a lot of like these Disney projects have just been absolutely tanking like shit. Woo. You know, and then that, like I said, the perfect example is that Marvel's movie. It's like we have these 3 women characters who, you know, I didn't watch Ms. Marvel. I don't know what sort of struggle she went through in order to attain her powers.
High school.
Yeah, basically. You know, Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, you know, at least
she was well written.
I will say, of the 3, she's the only one that I kind of give a shit about.
Yeah.
But that's because we did get to see her go through a lot of shit in WandaVision. And yes, I did watch that show, and I didn't watch the Marvels. But it's the only one that feels earned to me.
What's more relatable? You become a cosmic being that gets unlimited power, Ms. Marvel, or you become a cosmic being, but you know to do good because you had to watch your mom die of cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, one feels very relatable. One is like fantasy, you know? And so when you look at Rambo, I just feel like she's the best developed of all the people. Yeah. And then there's the Marvel, the young lady.
Yeah, with the She's supposed to like have, they call it embiggening powers.
Yeah.
Apparently they changed it in the show where she has like these weird like astral projections that she.
She's at least young.
She turns into Green Lantern.
She's kind of like the Spider-Man, that like young, fun person experiencing it all for the first time.
They even like primed her up. They're like, "This is gonna be the new Spider-Man, everybody,"
And we said no.
and the audience has said no, not just in movie form, but even in like comic books, like Ms. Marvel comics and
Brie Larson's
Captain Marvel.
character just sucks.
They're not pushing anything. They're not selling anything.
I just don't like Brie Larson. I mean, as an actress, I think she ruined her own career by being sassy at all those interviews with all the Marvel people.
Oh yeah, she burned that bridge long ago.
Yeah,
And she did it like right when things were like, I think that was at the very end of Endgame. Like that's when like her.
you could do no wrong. You could do no wrong.
Yeah.
And she found a way.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying this, make sure to like the video. If you're loving it, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, and make sure to tell us about your favorite moments and events and things that happened in 2023. Make sure to sound off in the comments section below. Now, back to the show.
Corey has a epic, ongoing Pokemon card collection that he has been growing. This is like what you and your girlfriend do together.
Pretty much, yeah. Like for the last, I'd say, 2 years, maybe a little longer.
And Corey has been going into absolute massive debt to get these.
Not really.
I'm kidding.
No.
But when you collect, you got to be responsible. Don't go into debt to collect.
But it's been, maybe that's what's been taking me away from anime is all this fucking Pokemon card shit. But basically, me and my girlfriend are like completely obsessed with Pokemon. We play Pokemon Go all the time, and we play the game.
He practically wore a hole in your phone from flicking the ball.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Speaking of flicking balls, no, but Pokemon Go is something that we've always been obsessed with, and then we're like, it's only inevitable we're gonna start getting into the card game. And at first we started out really small. We're just like, hey, let's just buy a pack and see what happens. And of course, 2 years later we end up having like 3 binders full of all of these different Pokemon cards, and we created like this challenge for ourselves where we're going to complete our very own Pokemon card decks, which is to say we're going to try and get at least one of every Pokemon in existence, and we're going to put it in the book in order.
But it doesn't need to be the hyper rarest version.
It doesn't have to be the hyper rarest version.
Yeah.
That being said, our number one rule though is every single card must at least be holofoil or a reverse holofoil card. Basically, every card needs to be shiny and amazing.
Yeah, it's got to be cool
And
looking. I get
that has been an interesting journey, because not only have we of course bought in random booster packs, which I'm not really a big fan of, we have basically done like a tour of over 20 different card shops just like in and around our city, and we've made friends with a lot of people, and we go there and we buy individual cards, and that's a lot cheaper. We literally get some for like 10 cents. It's that cheap.
But it's also, you get to negotiate on the card you want versus like buying a booster and just ripping it open and hoping there's a good card at the back end
Don't
of
get
it.
me wrong. It is still awesome to open a booster and get a super rare card. It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I get it.
But it's also great to just be able to go to a place, look through all their singles, and be like, oh, this is a Gengar card that I don't have, and I really want it. And, you get it. And we've been wanting to sort of show that off in video form for a while, so
Yeah.
we're probably going to do that coming into the next year, because there's a lot to show.
But
and I just want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the main, look, you're passionate about it. You got a lot of cards. We need to show them off. And it doesn't need to be one giant video with all 3 books. Like maybe we'll go through a book at a time, or you can say, I want to talk about all my Gengar cards, or we can talk about that and just sort of talk about the journey of your Pokemon collection. And maybe I'll do one with my comic books and video game collection,
You got a
because
pretty big collection, too.
I have way too many things, and I've enjoyed collecting, and I realize now that I don't collect as much this year. I turned it off all the way, mostly because a lot of things for me, I did enjoy things that were going up in value. So I got in at the top of the market with COVID, like when everyone had all that stimulus money, man, everything went up in value because everyone was buying everything.
Everybody's bored at home, too. They need something to enjoy.
Yeah, so I bought a bunch of stuff, and now it's probably lost, like, I don't want to get too in the numbers, but like 20% of its value overall. And I was a little sad about that, so I took a break from collecting. But I have a ton of great comic books that I enjoy. And the reason I love comic books, if you want to look at the value thing, it's like, hey, if you get a really great Batman comic, or you get a really great Vision comic or a Marvel comic, I feel like that's like buying stock in that character. And if you think that character is going to do more good things, that comic will go up in value over time. So I've just so obviously I'm not buying Miss Marvel comics. Anyway, but the point is that I love my collection. I also love my graded video game collection. I love like my handheld collection. I just didn't get into Pokemon cards because I went there when I was a kid. I enjoyed it, never played the game, and now I know it would just cost a lot, or do be a ton of time like you do. You would just invest an hour or two every weekend. Well, we shops and stuff, which I love going to shops, but I can't do it all the time.
That's one of my favorite things. Like, obviously, we talk about this briefly. We work in video production, and that gives us a chance to travel. One of our favorite things to do when we go to town sometimes is just like find the local comic book and card shop, because you never know what you're gonna find there.
Yeah, like we have a day off. We'll just like plan a route on Google and say, let's go visit these 3 shops, and we just walk around. And I got a cool Godzilla comic at one of those, the Godzilla Goes to Hell series. I got the first rare variant issue of that. And yeah, like you can just have fun buying stuff and talk to the owners. Man, the owners of these shops are some of the most fun people to talk to, because 1, they're good salesmen, so they're kind of pitching you, but 2, they're really excited about the content, because no one's getting rich off those stores, so these guys are doing it for passion, and it's just fun to hang out at their place and talk to them about what they've seen and cool shit like that.
So we do have a few favorite shows that we watch every year, things that we're pretty religious about. One of those is South Park.
Heck yeah.
And while I miss the original format of South Park,
With seasons
and actual characters and even just the random episodes of ridiculousness, they've mostly just been doing their one-off specials, and they did a couple of this year that were just awesome in pretty much every single way. They did one that is the Panderverse, which caused I'm gonna call it Notchaversy when it came out. Like, obviously it did really good and it was successful, but it's basically straight up just like calling out Disney for all the choices they've been making. And I loved that one because it had balls. There aren't too many shows that actually have the ability to actually do that and pull that off, and I loved that for it. They also just did another special, which I haven't watched yet, but you have, which is pretty much just like an assassination on Logan Paul, which I think most people appreciate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, Panderverse, I'm going to go back to that before we leave that. I love the Panderverse. I think it encapsulated a lot of the issues with Disney that we discussed earlier. And I'm not going to pretend that we're making a video essay that literally 1,000 other YouTubers haven't made already about woke Disney. But Panderverse to me was just a hilarious take on it. And I think that it made you understand what's going on, but through humor. And let's be honest, if you want to change the world, you got to make people laugh while you explain things to them. Because if you just tell them they're wrong, they're never going to care. They're just going to not like you. But Cred was great because I know we're never going to be famous on the internet, so I will say this. I really don't like Logan Paul. And the issue is I really didn't like him once the Suicide Forest incident happened. And then I started listening to his podcast because I was like listening to everyone's podcast, Impulsive, back in the day. And then ever since he stole money with all that CryptoZoo stuff and never refunded it even after saying he would, and just been cheating people, I don't like Logan Paul as a human being. I think he puts getting attention and cred above all else. And let's be honest, if you want to be the best, maybe you got to be a little bit of a psychopath, not care about what people think and say. But I feel like Logan Paul is not a great human being, and I refuse to support him and will never drink Prime.
Okay, I've never drinking Prime before.
I will never buy a Prime.
And it took me a while to kind of get like that's what that South Park special was about.
Cred.
Yeah, Cred. Which, what do they call him in that? Isn't it like just like they call him like Logan Douche or something? Like it's like not a clever name.
Well, they make an influencer that's referencing him because they never make fun of Logan Paul himself.
Yeah.
They like make a reference, which I think is great because Logan Paul doesn't deserve to be in that show. Didn't he already was in an episode? Unfortunately,
they did a PewDiePie episode.
Oh, it was PewDiePie. That's fine. PewDiePie's still a good human being. He just sort of retired.
That was a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Someone needs to say it. Logan Paul's kind of a douchebag. Let's make a whole special basically all about him. At least that's my understanding of what it's about.
I still like
that. Maybe the thing you told me about with Randy.
Oh, the OnlyFans B story. I'm not going to describe any of that.
Okay.
Just watch it. Just watch it. It's Randy. It's Randy. He's on OnlyFans. He's competing with his wife. Doesn't care at all that she's exposing herself. He just wants to have more subscribers.
All right, so in the realm of ass sucking, Logan Paul sucks, but what YouTubers are you like following and really in love with?
So I would say this is the year, or the last year and a half has been the year of educational YouTubers. Like, one thing I've been very interested in since the pandemic was finance. So I have like a love of all finance YouTubers. So if you get your Graham Steffens or Andre Zig, I think is his other name. Those are 2 like finance YouTube channels. And also the Ice Coffee Hour podcast is Graham Steffen and his partner do a podcast with a lot of great finance and real estate YouTubers. I'm like obsessed with that stuff. I know that's boring. I know that's not what our channel's about, but I can't tell you how much I enjoy figuring out how the world works with business and assets and finance, because as the owner of our video production company, I have to care about that stuff because I got to balance books. I got to know what the next trend is. I got to like manage what we're doing here with our free time to, you know, grow what we do. And so business YouTube has been like, you know, super important to me. And then, but like educational YouTube, let me see if I can find a guy so I can, okay, well, for sure, Alex Hormozy is one of my favorite guys to watch. I've shown you him. We've read through his book because we're coming out with new marketing material for our video production company. They're based off some of his lessons. If you at all want to start a business and you want to hear how to scale it, market it, make offers, offer products, like how to engage with the world in a sales way or engage with the world with a process to train employees, Alex Hormozy is like the godfather of it. Also, all his videos are good, and some of his topics are boring in the sense that, like, if someone say, here's the 10 steps to make a $100,000 business, you think that's a boring clickbait title, but he has like a ton of like golden information in it. So if you can kind of get through it. And also he's goofy looking. So, or he's just a giant buff guy with a beard. So I find him like kind of a comic book character looking human being.
There you go. He's memorable and he keeps your attention, and he does dole out some really good advice.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other YouTuber I like, let me see if I can find it. It is one, I love car YouTubers. Anything with cars is like the shit for me. I just can't get enough of car reviews, even though I don't own cool cars. It's just fun because look, do you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to get all into that, but the insurance on owning a cool car is ridiculous. You're like, I can afford the payment. And then you're like, State Farm, what's the cost to own it? And they're like $600 a month forever. And you're like, fuck you. Chris Williams and like your Andrew Hubermans are your evolution of Joe Rogan. If you enjoy Rogan's fitness concepts and like his science approach, like cold plunges and saunas and workout techniques and things like that, then you should enjoy these guys because they're like the deeper, more scientific vibe. If you want to get away from bro science, I'm going to call it, and into like, let's look at studies and let's talk to experts and have deep but like flat conversations that aren't necessarily meant for entertainment. They're meant for information. I just think Huberman and Chris Williamson are just like the shit. And I really recommend their podcasts if you get a chance. And all their podcasts, like most big podcasters, have video and audio. So you can just watch the audio or listen to the audio in a car. And then if you want to sit down and watch it where there are visuals and maybe more like things to help you learn it, and or you can see the links in the show notes, you know, and go to them as you're listening. Yeah. I find the video to be very good. Also, video podcasts have just blown up. Like these things are just so well produced now. You know, like a video podcast is not a shitty operation with like one camera angle like we are doing. But damn, we've done multicam podcasts. They are a lot of work to edit.
They are a tremendous amount of work to edit. And a lot of these guys are really successful too. They have the privilege of being able to have their very own editing team.
And that's coming from guys that own a video production company.
Exactly.
So a normal human, I don't know how they would learn to edit this well and process all this content.
Like when this is done and we have to make this video for you guys, we're not just going to hand this off. We're going to go do it.
We're doing it.
We're the ones who are going to have to go make this happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the, you know, a lot of these guys, they have really great setups. And so this is this guy, Chris Williamson.
Yeah, yeah. He has a podcast. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it. I think it's, let me look it up really quick on my podcast app. Chris Williamson. He put out a video not too long, December 21st, 2023, called 15 Lessons from 2023. And he interviewed Jordan Peterson, Alex Hormozy, Elon Musk, and he compiles some of the best lessons he's gotten from those podcasts. If you want to see his like style and information distribution, you know, style or like what he likes to pass on to his audience, I really recommend that video, 15 Lessons from 2023. And let me see if I can find his name. Oh, Modern Wisdom is his podcast.
Modern Wisdom.
And then the other guy is... The Game is the podcast with Alex Hormozy. Really recommend it. And then Huberman Labs is Alex Huberman's podcast. And that's very science, like hardcore, like let's bring on a sleep expert and talk about it. Let's bring on a guy that just studies caffeine effects and just talk about that. I'm just going to read some of the titles. How to Learn Better and Create Your Best Future. Cold Exposure. Great podcast. I listen to this, and he talks about just stand outside for 5 minutes when it's cold in the morning.
As soon as you wake up.
As soon as you wake up. No coffee, no water, no nothing. Well, you can bring a glass of water if you want.
Just dangle in front of the neighbors. Get out there. Let it flow, man.
Don't put on a bunch of clothes. Just put on what you're okay standing outside in, but thin clothes. get cold exposure. It wakes you up in a way that coffee never would. Like, you'll wander around your house for 30 minutes sipping on a warm drink to wake up, or you stand outside for 5 minutes and you will come back. It makes you like thankful for warmth.
Yeah.
Like, it gets you so focused and you're like, oh, thank God I'm warm. And your body just kind of is like, hey, pay attention. You might be outside dying.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of wakes you up.
It's a simple thing. You know, you go outside, you get cold, your blood vessels, they constrict, you get back inside, you warm up, all of your blood vessels open up all at once, your body heats up properly all at the same time, and it completely just wakes you up.
Yeah, and so what I'm just saying is there's this great information on YouTube that's no longer like fun how-to videos about drones and tech. Like, now there's this science side, or bro science YouTube, that I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend, if you guys try to evolve past a Rogan podcast, check out some of these guys. They're great.
A lot of great stuff out there.
Yeah.
I've been like the opposite of you in terms of some of the stuff that
I'm
I've
Mr.
watching.
Self-development guy, though. Yeah, I love that shit.
That's just what Christian is, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
I'm more of the goofier, fun, kind of thing. And I watch, of course, I mention this guy almost every year. I don't think he needs like any sort of endorsement because I think he's incredible. But I love Meat Canyon. I love his animations. I love his blog channel, Papa Meat. I think they are
Papa Meat's great.
Well produced, super funny, have great editing, and his topics, you never really can predict what they're actually going to be. That's what I love about his content. He just sort of goes for it, and his personality is just so crazy. I love watching his thing. Also, this is a weird thing. Whenever I'm like doing chores, or I'm working around the house, or doing a workout, I'm really into cartoon reviewers and essays.
Video essays have really taken a place on YouTube.
There's a couple that I watch pretty religiously. Like, I love Saber Spark. I think he does really great stuff. Shady Durags does these amazing essays on like individual episodes of King of the Hill, which are some of the best character studies from that I've ever seen.
I've watched a few of those. They're great because I've never watched King of the Hill, so it's kind of interesting to see why these characters are interesting, because I've always thought that show was so flat because it's like baseline RPM of excitement is very low. But now I see why people care about these characters.
What I also love about his videos is that it's very apparent that Shady Durags is also got some sort of business degree, because he always focuses on a lot of episodes that have to do with money or some like monetary story, and he's able to like break it down in a really interesting and fun way, while also highlighting why the show itself is still funny, and that's why we're still talking about it.
That's right.
There's also Kitty Monk, who does a ton of South Park and animation videos. I love all of that stuff. So I watch a lot of video essays. A lot of the times they're just on in the background, but I really enjoy them. Also, I think that the YouTube indie animation scene has just exploded.
Think about 2005, 2008, you had Ego Raptor doing things. And he wasn't on YouTube necessarily, he's on Newgrounds. But there's like 30 of those guys nowadays.
There are. And some of these shows are fantastic, and they're really good. A lot of them are also starting to be picked up by major networks, and they're actually like materializing with much bigger budgets. Like a lot of the like really well-known ones. There's a creator, Vivzy Pop, who makes a lot of stuff like Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss,
Smiling Friends.
Smiling Friends.
Who makes that?
That's actually made by I think that's Zach. That's like all the guys from One Games.
Yep.
Like Zach Hadel and everything. Like, their show exploded, and they were able to bring that to Adult Swim. One of the biggest YouTube successes this year, probably one of the it broke records. It was insane. Was this animation, which I'm sure you've heard of? It's called The Amazing Digital Circus. It got 150 million views in a month, and it is an indie animation.
That's like Mr. Beast level views.
Yeah, it is insane. And I ignored it for about a month, and then I watched it, and I finally understood, like, oh, okay, I get it. This is really good. And it's what I love about it in these shows that blow up is that it is from the creators specifically. They're not pigeonholed. They're not held back. They get to do exactly what they want. And these things are going to blow up, I think, a lot more in the next year. And most importantly, every single one has a budget which looks just as good, if not better, than anything that you see on TV. I am really loving the creativity that's actually happening in the indie animation stuff in YouTube. Some of it is next level. It's that.
I mean, we all started with like Salad Fingers, which was just weird and fun. And then we had an Ego Raptor doing like his Street Fighter videos or his Pokemon videos.
Yeah, all that stuff.
But now things just have so much more depth. Like, you go watch Melvin, the series by Meat Canyon.
Meat Canyon, his original series. Not a parody, but his very own thing.
And it's great.
It's great.
It's uncomfortable. I wouldn't show a lot of people it, but it's fun. And it has depth to it, and you care about the character. And then, like you said, Smiling Friends is a success story, but they didn't even need to do that. They could have just made the show.
They could have just made it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yet, I love, though, that they were still given the freedom to do exactly.
Well, they've proven that they could do it. Like, that's why Adult Swim gave them a chance, you know? It's a good year for creators on YouTube. I also think it's harder than hell to get exposed on YouTube, like to get somewhere on YouTube. We're also seeing the like death of the hype beast YouTubers, I think, like all the dudes that like run around and like are assholes to people. I feel like everyone's kind of like getting away from that.
Better, though.
But that's also for kids. Like that content was never for us. That was meant for teenagers to watch and be like, oh my God, can you believe he said that to the person? Like for us, I just feel like there's so much depth to YouTube now that I used to watch tech reviews and anime reviews. That's all I used to watch. And now I feel like I'm getting self-help. I'm getting a lot of podcast consumption. I'm getting, beautiful video essays that are just so well made that they freak me out. Even as an editor myself, I'm like, how are they using all these graphics and stuff? So, I mean, we're seeing a brand new thing. Also, some other YouTube controversy. YouTube tried to block ad blockers, and that kind of blew up in their face. That upset me.
Yeah.
Because you had to like learn how to program to stop that. Because I'm not paying for YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
And the ads just seem to get longer every day. Like it's like, oh, used to be a 5-second ad, now it's an unskippable 30-second ad. You know, it's like, whoa, guys. Or sometimes it's 2 15-second ads that are very different, and I don't know. I don't like it anymore. Ads on YouTube are crap. And then what else were we supposed to talk about? Life lessons? You want to get into that, or you want to go to the gadgets, like you got a PS5 and shit?
Another thing that's kept me entertained this year has definitely been video games. And that's not really anything new. I'm definitely a gamer. I play new games every single year, but this has been a really good one. Not just because of all the great games that I've played on my other systems, but I was lucky enough to get a PS5 in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and just say it. This guy gave it to me as a gift.
Woo!
And it's awesome. I love it. I've already gotten so many games for it. I've already played through the new Spider-Man. I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake to get hyped up for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But there were some games earlier this year that just blew my freaking mind. The Resident Evil 4 Remake was incredible.
Was it?
I loved it. And that was a game that I thought I never wanted, and I was like, there's no way it's going to be as good as the original. It hurts me to say that it's better than the original.
Resident Evil 4, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the remake of 4, yeah.
Totally worth replaying. You had one of your dream games come out this year, which was Pikmin 4.
Pikmin 4 was great. I have a hard time getting excited about the Switch because Mario doesn't do it for me. I think the only Switch games I love are a Zelda game and a Pikmin game. You give me any of those, I'm down. I also really enjoyed the Advance Wars sequel. That was great because I like puzzle RTS type games. But I mean, my gaming has been all on PC, Steam Deck, that sort of stuff. And also, I just enjoyed modding my Steam Deck and like putting emulators on it. Not physically modding it, just like software mods. And then I
also play a lot of indie games.
Dude, I love Dave the Diver on Steam, or I think it's even on Switch. Love it. I love, I rebought Turok 1 and 2 during the winter sale on Steam this year. And then I even got the RoboCop Rogue City game, which is great because if you love like old, like 80s action movies, it's just like a great, like, you know, nod to that. And then I've just been playing a lot of games that I enjoy, like racing sims, like Art of Rally is great. And then I love Microsoft Flight Simulator because you can like fly anywhere in the world. Because that game, they don't put the whole world in the game. They say, where do you want to go? And then they connect to the internet and load that map in because they have all the storage of all this different satellite imagery of the world. And it's fun to fly like a Cessna over New York. It's fun to fly an F-18 through the Grand Canyon. Like all that stuff is just interesting to me. And because I love big, powerful machines and stuff. It's a guy thing. And
I love my PS5. I've played a lot of Switch this year. Like the year opened up, I played it's technically a re-release of a Kirby game that I really enjoyed. Pikmin 4, which I still haven't beaten because I actually let you borrow it.
Yeah, and I got stuck, but it's good.
It's a great game. I love it. It's fantastic. The new Mario game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, is the best 2D Mario game since Super Mario World. It is unbelievably good. They remade Super Mario RPG is great. The one game that I know that we both played this year, which is probably my game of the year, and I played it for like 4 months straight, is definitely Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Dude, it was a great game. It was so good. I got a little burnt out on it, though, because I played too hard. I will say I messed up like that, but man, they just made it better. I thought for sure they weren't going to make the next Zelda game better. They were just going to change things or add new weapons or something, but like, it's better. So, recommend it. But we're not the first YouTubers to say.
No, I mean, dude, we're adding nothing new.
Yeah, to this
To
conversation.
this conversation outside of, yeah, it was a really great game. We really enjoyed it. I loved being able to take my time and enjoy that game. It was fantastic. So outside of all the entertainment, outside of all the video games, the anime, the movies, the successes, the failures, the good times, the bad, we also got to take care of ourselves. And one thing that's really important to us and something that we don't talk about too much is our fitness. We work out like 4 to 5 days a week. This is just a consistent thing, whether it's running, whether it's lifting weights. And that's really important to us as we get older. And a couple of months ago, we actually challenged ourselves with a David Goggins.
And if you don't know who David Goggins is, he's an ultramarathon athlete, former Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, complete badass guy.
Hard as a rock.
Yeah, he's very much about mental toughness and not letting weak thoughts in. And just like, he's like, I don't know, his biggest phrase is who's going to carry the boats. Look him up if you haven't. He had the world record for pull-ups for a while. He has done multiple 100-mile races, and he has a challenge called the 4x4x4 or 4x4x48. And essentially what you do is you run 4 miles once every 4 hours for 48 hours, which is 12 4-mile runs. I know that's math, but essentially you're running every 4 hours for 2 days straight. So it's going to be a good run. Looking forward to it.
About 5:20 a.m. 20 minutes into the 4x4x48.
Corey?
I'm feeling pretty good, but it's definitely the third run.
And this is all just a joke. This is all a joke. I don't feel anything.
Corey, how's your body?
Fuck.
About to do run number 7. It is 5 something in the morning. The mood is starting to change at 7. I don't feel that great anymore, to be honest, and my legs hurt bad.
How you feeling?
I could keep going, but I'm glad it's over.
Hell takes many forms.
And it was super
It was
challenging.
pure distilled hell.
But you know why it was fun? Because we got like 4 or 5 of our friends together. We all said, let's try it. We stayed at one of our friends' houses, and we had a route mapped out in this neighborhood. And I mean, we were out there running at 1 in the morning. We were suffering through it together, trying to keep each other motivated. And I achieved a lot of things this year. Like, our business did well. I have a great marriage with my wife. I have my collections of motorcycles and anime and everything. I added to it and was happy with everything. But I'll tell you, the number one thing I was happy and prideful about that gave me more joy is I did not finish that run, but I was one of the last ones running, and I think I did 8 rounds, which was 32 miles. And to run 32 miles when you've never run over 6 miles in your life over a day and a half was pretty damn insane. And it just like was something that made me so prideful. I couldn't tell you how proud I was of myself, and how as you get older, it's kind of hard to find things that you're like excited about chasing, because you're like, I really just need to focus on making money. I really need to focus on growing our business. I really need to focus on this. And then before you know it, you're kind of like sitting there wandering around saying, why am I doing all this? It's not bringing me all that much joy. Or it used to, but now I'm just moving the pieces around because I feel like I have to. But man, finishing that run was like, not finishing because we didn't finish, but doing it to that level made me realize I'm capable of so much more. And money isn't going to bring me that, or status, network, bank account. None of that is going to bring me that, except me showing up and shutting out the negative thoughts and just fucking running. You know, it made me happy.
I mean, it was motivational to say the least, and it was a great way to test to see where we were mentally, physically. It's no secret, I'm a big guy. I've always been kind of a big guy, but I've made some pretty big changes in the last couple of years of my life, both of my own choice and because I forcibly had to do so. So this run was a really big test for me to see like how far I've come and what I could truly do. And as someone who sucks ass at running, we're talking like just running a mile initially when I first started working out with Christian.
Borderline impossible.
I just couldn't do it. And then we finally got to a point where we're starting to do hour-long, 2.5 to 3, 4 mile runs. That's when I realized, okay, maybe I can actually survive this and see how far I can go. And I definitely broke a record that day. I ran way more than I thought that I could pitch.
I think you made it 4 or 5 rounds.
I think I made 5 rounds.
Yeah, and I went 8 and you did 5.
And it tested me in ways that I mean, it wrecked me physically. I mean, there were a couple days after that, like I couldn't run for that
after that challenge for almost a week. My body was so depleted. It was like, what are you doing trying to work out? Like, please rest. There was some achiness inside of me that I had never felt.
It is a physical thing, but it was also mental. Like, there was a lot involved with managing your time during this thing because, of course, it's 4 every 4 hours.
Yeah.
So basically, you're killing an hour every single time.
So you have 3 hours left.
Yeah, and then potentially another hour because you got to have food. You've got to refuel during all this. You have to stay hydrated, and you have to be prepared. So there were a lot of instances where you're only going to get maybe 2 hours of sleep in between each run. Sometimes you might get 3. It just depends.
I had the ultimate strategy. I would come back, immediately shower, change into my next running outfit, stuff my face with food as fast as I could, and then go right to bed. And that way I could like sit up 5 minutes before the run and just go outside and start running again.
Pretty much.
Because if you had to get up, change, what you're doing is you're giving yourselves all these chances to quit. Your body's like, or your mind is like, don't change. Don't look for those shorts that you need. Who cares? You need to sit and rest. Your body's telling you something. And you had to tell your body, I'm not going to be a bitch. I'm doing this because I have decided I'm doing it. Not because it's fun and easy. I'm doing it because I want to see if I can. And I really think also we probably would have gone a little further if some of our group would have kept going. But since I was like the last one and we were staying at a friend's house, I sort of like wanted to leave just to be nice. I didn't want to sit there and run while everyone was living their life.
We were doing really good at motivating each other. We made like a pact like before, like, hey, this is not about degradation. This is not about beating each other down. This is about pushing each other as far as we can possibly go.
And not letting each other talk negative. Like, we should stop now. You know, we're like, no, stop saying that.
That's not an option.
Stop if you want, but don't say that to everyone.
Exactly.
You know?
And, the spirit was willing, but sometimes the flesh is weak. And that's honestly what ended up happening to a lot of us. We all
blisters and knees went out.
Blisters, knees, heels, all that shit. I got the biggest blister of my entire life.
You earned that blister,
besides
Corey.
damn Florida on my foot. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I still cannot believe that I managed to go that far.
I highly recommend you do a physical challenge that's well beyond your limits, and you should train for it. That's something Corey and I did. We said, hey, running our 4-mile loop probably takes us between 45 to an hour. So let's do hour runs only until leading up to it. We don't have to do them fast, but we have to be running for an hour so our body is so used to that run time, that time we're going to be running, that it's not scary to our body or shock from run 1, And I think that helped us because a lot of people that we ran with only trained on time. They're like, I'm going to do 4 miles as fast as I can. And then they'd run for 35 minutes because they were booking it. But we were still like, we had so much gas left in the tank because we had been training for hour runs, and there was just so many things that I was hyper prepared, dude. I went on and watched every YouTube video about the David Goggins 48. Everyone said, have meals prepped, have all your clothes laid out, have all your food and snacks ready to go, have 3 or 4 snack options. So if like something that's super carby is upsetting your stomach, go to something super protein based. So I had like beef jerky and granola, and I had grilled chicken, and we were just like ready to go. And I think I ran the longest because of being hyper prepared, not that I was the best runner.
You cannot come into this thing, Kat. You must prepare for it in every single way.
And the high I got off of it, I literally can't describe it, dude. I can't describe it. Drugs, money, none of that would have ever done that for me ever.
No, that was next level. And and I agree with you, Christian. Like, even if you're not like a fitness person, you don't work out a lot. I think you need to test and see where you are. And if anything, it's just important for your health. I mean, this is coming from a guy who could barely run 2 miles in a day, and then I suddenly ran 20 in a day.
Yep.
And it blew my mind. It ended up destroying my feet, but it also showed me where I am.
But if you trained harder, your feet would get tougher.
Exactly.
And then your mind says,
or just wear better shoes.
Yeah, or change your shoes between runs.
Change your shoes between runs. That's another good one to do.
But it does show you that you're way, like when your mind tells you to quit, you're probably only 40% there. You probably got another 60 to 50 in the tank, percent-wise. So think about that. And also go watch some David Goggins stuff if you want to get motivated, because that guy will freak you out with his stories about running.
But that run was also important to me too, because I'm not going to get too deep into it or anything. I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me over the course of like the last year and a half. I've had some health stuff that I've had to deal with, and my mother passed away in the last year. And we did this run, I think maybe a month and a half, 2 months after she passed away. So that was like extreme motivation of remembering her to try and go through that thing. So whatever's going on in your life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, you can use these things to motivate yourself. But whatever you do, just don't give up. Try to see how far you can push yourself. And I'm also not going to sugarcoat it either. It's going to suck. Things are going to go bad. Things are going to hurt. You're going to want to quit. But take it from me as someone who has changed their life physically.
Like, you've lost 80 pounds. Not to get too into the numbers, but you have killed it. You've changed your life.
Important, and it is something that you should definitely recognize. And, you know, it also ties back to a lot of the things that I love and why we love Dragon Ball so much. Dragon Ball is the ultimate motivational.
Ooh, not Baki?
Not Baki.
Anyway, yeah, and I also want to take it to loss. Like, we've been hit with a lot of loss in the last few, well, me particularly the last few months. I don't want to go into the details, but you can imagine grandparents passing away, stuff like that, friends in the hospital. And it makes you realize going into this holiday season that you should really enjoy the time you have with your parents, your brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, because you may literally only see these people another, like if it's your grandparents and you're young, maybe you get another 10 to 20 grandma visits before she's gone. You know, like, you got to think like that. Just because your grandparents are alive, you're not seeing them every day. Just because your best friends are around, if you have a friend that's older than you and they're not taking care of themselves, things can happen to them. And you gotta, like, enjoy the time you have with these people and make an effort to spend time with them, and not just focus on your career and shit like that. And I think that's one of the main reasons Corey and I kind of stepped away from YouTube. Is like, Corey got a relationship. I'm really focused on running this business, MTech Pro Media, and we're just like, YouTube had to get pulled away a little bit, but we now filled our lives with other things that we really are enjoying. And then with this current loss, we're all seeing like, whoa, there's so much that's important and fragile, and the timeline is short. So take your effort and hug someone you love, tell someone they're special to you, do an act of kindness, you know, like, take a moment to tell someone you care about them. You don't have to use the love word if you don't want, but you do need to tell them that they're important to you and you're happy that they're in your life. Because the loss is coming, and it will be traumatic, but it's not supposed to be traumatic. Like, if someone you know is having a baby and someone you know is dying, that's just the whole journey of life. You're just seeing both ends of it, you know? So you gotta be involved in the middle part, because the end is coming. Dun, dun, dun. Whoa.
And that might even be a segue to the end of this video. But before we do wrap it up, first and foremost, I just want to thank you guys. I don't care if we get 1, I don't care if we get 100 views. If this reaches you in any way and you liked this content, please tell us why in the comments section below. Of course, this is a sort of a wrap-up of 2023, so please tell us about your favorite moments from the year, whether it be experiences, things that entertained you, things you're hoping to change in the coming year.
Games you've been playing,
anime you've been watching, manga you've been reading, whatever it is that has made your 2023, let's hear about it in the comments section below, and let's talk all about it. Now, as far as 2024 is concerned, new videos might be coming out. I'm not sure when they're going to be.
Your Pokemon card series for sure is going to be made. We want to do that. Maybe my comic books
but of
collection.
Course, you know, this is Ace Guru. Sometimes we disappear for a while and sometimes we come back. There's still a few subjects I'd love to talk about. There's definitely some Gundam stuff that I would love to talk about, and maybe even some of these brand new anime that are coming out in the next year. But I just felt it was really important that we at least give you guys one more piece of content for the year, just kind of talking about some of the things we experienced.
Absolutely. The 2023 year review, it had some high highs, guys, and it had some low lows, and I have a feeling a lot of you can relate to that. And we just can't tell you how much we appreciate having our little online family with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe. Even though we may not be the highest uploading channel, we like to think that we try and give it our all when we actually send up some content. So thank you so much for watching.